All right. Welcome to Bikash web channel. My name is Bikash and I'm here back again with another video, and this time TypeScript. This video will be done in two parts. The first part will be just TypeScript and JavaScript, and then the second part will be combining TypeScript with React, so React Typescript. Majority of the thing that I want to show you will be in the second part. So the first part will be just to introduce you a basic thing about TypeScript. And also one more thing I would like to add, in this video I'm not going to go too deep in TypeScript such as generic types and such, and it is because I have been working in a bigger projects both in backend with Node and TypeScript and also frontend with React Typescript for over 2 years now, and I haven't used all those deep generic type of TypeScript and such. And unless you are building your own library or npm packages or some deep programming thing, maybe you also don't need it. And even if you need it, after watching this video you will be able to figure it out those by yourself. So that's all about the intro, and if that sounds good, feel free to like this video. And if you are new to this channel and you like this kind of contents, then subscribe my channel and also hit that notification bell icon. That way whenever I upload new video, you will be the one getting notified. With that said, let's start the video. What is TypeScript? Well, here is this TypeScript official website. You can see typescriptlang.org. TypeScript is a JavaScript with syntax for types. So if you are familiar with other programming languages such as C and Java, then you probably already know that whenever you are defining any variables, whether it's an array or normal string or integer or whatever, you always have to define the types. And if you want to overwrite it with some other types, then it will give you some sort of warning. For example, let's say you have a variable and that is holding your name or anybody's name, and that is a string variable. And later if you want to give in the same variable some number, then you will get a warning and you cannot do that. And if you know JavaScript, which I hope you already know if you are watching this video, then in JavaScript you can define any variable and it can be any types, and then later you can overwrite and rewrite it with any other types. And that's the reason why TypeScript exists in the first place. So at the end of the day, TypeScript is also going to convert all your files into JavaScript. So it's basically the result will be JavaScript, but it just gives you a layer where you can control all those things, and it will give you warning and all those intelligence so that it will notify you. It will also give you what are the properties inside and so on. So it's really good, and I think that's all you need to know for this. I'm here in terminal. I'm in Mac OS, but you can be in any of the terminal. It can be Windows or Linux. So to have a TypeScript, you need to first install it, and you can do that by npm and then install, or just write install, and then you can install it globally, and then you can just do TypeScript, and that's all. So basically type and then script. Okay, and I already have this, and to know that whether you have it or not, you just have to do tsc and version. So tsc is a command that you will be using your TypeScript with. And you can see I already have this version, and depending when you will be watching this video, your version may or may not be the same as mine. However, if you have any version there, that means your TypeScript is already installed there. So let's go and let's create a directory. I'll just call TypeScript, and then I will also call React here, so that later we will also install React with TypeScript. Let's go inside that folder. And then I have a VS Code installed, and if you don't have, I would recommend you to do that. So for that, I just do code dot, and then it will open me within that project. So here I am inside a VS Code, and I also created an empty app.js file. So this is just a JavaScript file. And you know, in JavaScript, if I want to do a variable, let name, and then I do Vikas, and then later if I do name, and then if I give any some other type, let's just give my name, and then let's do my name, and you can do something like that, and you can run this. Let's go and let's open terminal, and then if I console log it, so I have name, and then let's just print my name, and then if I do node app.js, you can see that it says name and then it prints 26. And then later we can even define it to object. So I can now give it an object and I say name, and then I can give name, and then I can give my name. And now if you have to save it, and if I do the same thing, you see now it's no more 26, it's like this. So this is what I was talking about earlier, because when you have a name as a string, it should be always a string, and you should not be able to modify it with number or any other types. Because you see clearly when you have a more and more lines of code written, and then maybe someone else is working in the project, or even if you are working in the project but you have a lot of JavaScript file, a lot of projects going on, you don't know what this refer to. Although of course the name of the variable itself is my name, so probably no one will write 26 for my name unless their name is 26, but you get the point, right? So now let's convert this to TypeScript, and all you need to do is just change the extension to TS, and that's already good. And you see immediately after we change the extension to TS, we already got a warning, okay? And this warning, it says that the number is not assignable to type string. Our TypeScript is already intelligent. It knows that this now is a string. Obviously, if we had in the beginning given this 25, then it would automatically know that it's a number, and you see the warning is gone because we are assigning again number to number. However, here we are still having a warning here, and it says that the number is not assignable to this, which is an object, okay? So this is the beauty of TypeScript that you can already see. So I think this already explains the basic of TypeScript, and then I'll just show you if you want to use a TypeScript with HTML, how you can do it, okay? So let's go here and let's have index.html, and then here I'll just give that, and then here in the header I want to use a script, and the script is app.js. okay, you might be asking me, oh god, we have app.ts here, and why do we have app.js here? Well, it is because, well, let me also give it type module. It's not needed, but let's just give it. Okay, so we have this, okay, and then let's run this. Since I am in VS Code, I have this opportunity. I can open it as a live server. Okay, so now I save this, and then I need to do something here because obviously we don't have app.js. So remember the earlier command I was saying, this tsc version. Okay, so we can use this tsc, and then we can run this file. So instead of node, we are running it tsc, so the TypeScript is running, and all it does is it will compile to app.js. So let's go and let's do that. And you can see now app.js is created. So basically we have this empty and we have this empty, and let's go now and let's give the same thing. So let's give age, and age is 25. And now if you want to write age with a string, you will be getting warning because it says that a string is not assignable to type number. So we have to have this number. Okay, and now if I have to do console log, and then I just say age, and then I give age, and I save this, and if I run this, now it will create app.js, and you see it already has this. It's using var and everything. We'll modify that later. Okay, so now if I go here, you can see we have console log, and it prints as 25 or 35. Okay, so the next thing I would like to show you is also async await function. So let's say I have a function. I can define an arrow function, or let's do it like this, async function, and this function is taking some variable. And then, okay, it says var is not allowed, and obviously it's a reject character. So let's just give any var. So that's okay. And then we can just use console log, and then we can just print this with any var. Now you see, we already get some sort of warning here. It says that any var has implicitly any type, and it's better to have type defined here. Okay, so what it says is initially, if we don't give any types, then TypeScript automatically thinks as any type. Okay, that means it can be any. You can pass there a string. So basically, it's almost same as not defining it. Okay, so I can give it here a number. So now it knows that whenever we are calling our function here, it expects that we call this as a number. So if I try to pass here a string, we will get warning, and it says that this is not the type that this function expects. However, if I give here 25, and then it's all good because that's what it was expecting. Let's say we have another argument, and that can be name. We are calling this name as a string. We have now a new argument, and it's a name, and it expects a string. So the type of this is a string, okay? And you can see we can give the type definition after this colon, and same here. And we can also do it here. So let's say I want to create a variable called my name, and the type of that variable is a string. You see, now if I go down here, and if I want to rewrite or override this with number, we will get a warning. So, and it says that number is not assignable to type a string. So, however, if I try to convert this to string, then it's all good. So now you can already see there are two ways we can define types. One is already giving the variable or the value that it is expecting. So initial value. So in that case, it automatically takes the type from the value, and that's number. And another is first you define the type, and then you give the you assign whatever the value you want to assign. Similarly, here in our function argument, we can also define something like that, or we can also give the initial value. So let's say the initial value is 2. In this case also, we already know the type of this val is number. Now you can see this function expects 2 arguments, and that is the first one number, and then the second one name. However, when we are calling this function, we are only using 1 argument, and it says that an argument for name was not provided. So let's go here, and if I try to give again the number, we are getting warning here. However, if I give the name to my name or whatever, and you see everything is good. Now let's save it, and let's just do the same thing that we did earlier. And then if we go here, you see we don't have async await initially, so that's why it's doing all this callback and everything to give us this ability of async and await. Okay, we are also getting some warning here. We'll fix that later. So to fix this, in order not to get all this thing, if we go here, we are obviously getting the value. It's printing pretty nicely. However, that's not how we want. So to go here and to fix that, we need some file, and that's called tsconfig. And this is the last thing we are going to do here. And this is tsconfig JSON, and all the Typescript configuration we will be writing here. Okay, so the first thing here is we want to have a compiler option, and you see I already got all this information because I have an extension. So I have this extension called Typescript, JavaScript Typescript by this, and it is by Microsoft, and because of that I always get all this type suggestion, which is super handy. And then here inside compiler option, all I need to do, I need to give target, and then target is which version of JavaScript. So here let's just go here and let's do ES next, and then let me do like that, and then I can go here and I can obviously choose ES 2022, but let's do ES next. So that's good. And then do I want to give something else? I think I want to give what, and then this is a true false. You can already see true. Okay, so we have a target here, that's ES next, and then we have also what's true. With this what's true, we don't have to all the time keep on running tsc and then the file name, because in your real project you might be having a lot of Typescript file, and it's not possible that every time you make a change you keep on compiling that to JavaScript. Okay, so with this was the true, all we need to do is just do tsc inside this folder, and when I hit enter, you see we are already watching this for file changes. And now if I go here and if I just save this, you can see that file change detected. And now if we go here, you can see we already have a async function here, and everything is just like here. And then you can also see that everything is printed. So that's the magic of this tsconfig. And now you can write as many things as you want. You can actually combine to your HTML project. You can select your DOM. You can do DOM manipulation. However, I think if you want to select your DOM, you need to do this one more thing. And then yes, and this is an array. And then the first thing we can do, we can have a DOM. and also we can give here some value of yes, we want to use it. So with this now you can do a lot of things related to DOM and everything is good. That's all for the first part of video. So the second, let's go and let's create a TypeScript React project. We'll create a project inside here. Okay, all you need to do to create a TypeScript project with React or React TypeScript with React with TypeScript, sorry, is by adding this flag. You can just do a template and then TypeScript. Until here, I think you are already familiar. In my case, I will use this. So you can also use yarn, or you can also use npx if you have only npm. Let's go back to our VS Code, and I will kill this program here. And then, so what I want to do is I want to go one step. Actually, no, I will go inside the same folder here, and then I will just type it. And then I will change the name from my application to React Typescript 101. All right. So now let's hit enter. Now you see we have already installed this project, and we just have to do cd and then go inside there. And then that's all we need to do. So we have a React project, and you see, let's close all of this from our earlier project. And then let's only see our React project. I will also do one thing. Let's do normal ts, so that way we have all of these inside our normal ts folder. Okay, so we can, okay, so I moved everything to normal ts. The reason is I will upload this to GitHub so you can still see it, and now you know that how I have hidden it here. So now we have a React TypeScript, and let's go here and let's see what are the things there and what are the things different from JavaScript. So the first thing you see is we have tsx instead of jsx. So it's basically the same JSX, but a TypeScript version of that. That's all you need to know. And then we have index tsx. So this is also a TypeScript version of JavaScript. Usually, if I remember correctly, they have only index or .js when it's a JavaScript. However, here somehow it's tsx, so it really doesn't matter. But like always, let me clean this quickly. So you already know how I clean this from my previous project. So I just clean everything that we don't need. We don't need CSS file here. We just need this application from here. I save this. Okay, so we have our project running, and it says that we have a CSS which we don't have anymore. So let's go here and let's delete this. We could also see that here. Now you can see that it's saying TypeScript React and everything is working good. All right. Until now, it's only about setting up the project and cleaning it and everything, and we only know that this is TSX file, but we are actually not making use of it. All right. So we are now inside a React TypeScript project, and this is how it looks. Basically, it looks exactly the same thing as it was earlier. However, now we can make use of TypeScript. So before we begin with making use of TypeScript and creating few components and so on, now, the first thing I would like to show you, what are the definition? What are the types? I already told you that there is implicit and there is explicit. So implicit is when you do is and then you give the number here. So the TypeScript automatically knows that this is a number. You can also give something just like you used to give it in JavaScript. Let's say my age, and then if you just leave it like that, if you hover over here, it says my age is any. And now here, you can give my age as number. Also, you can give my age as a string, and it's all fine because my age is actually expecting any types. And I don't know why you want to do that, but that's how you can also do it. So initially, if you don't give any types and if you don't give any value, then it takes any as a default. If you give some value, it will take whatever the type of that value as default. And if you don't have anything, and if you want to explicitly define, then you can also do let my age, and then you can give the type number, and you can give the type after this colon. So this is how you can give the type definition. So the first thing, let's go and let's see types available. So the first type is already, it's a string type. So that's a string. And then string is for any string. So let's my variable, and this is a string. So you can give after colon string, and it will take the variable. You can also always hover it and see it's a string. Similarly, you already know we have already used number, so these two you already know. Another way is array. So let's say this is our variable and we want to give this type array. However, array always requires something. You can see in the type here, because we cannot have just array. Array needs to have something inside. So array can be array of string, array can be array of number, array can be array of string or number or anything. So let's say we have an array. For example, this is an example array. So this array has name of, it has languages, let's say. So languages can be German, languages can be English, it can be Spanish. So how to give this type definition? One way is you can just have this already here, and this is our implicit way of doing it. So now you see our variable already has an array, and you can see it's string and then it's array. So you can define something like this. So now if we have to define this variable, how would we define? You already saw one way is you can give a string and then you can just write like this. So this is just empty array and string. So now we know that this is a type of string, and now we can do the same thing. If I do like this, and then if I have give 2, 5, you can see that again we will get the same sort of warning. So if I go now here and just write German here, and this is all good because we are passing, and we can pass as many as we want because this is an array. As long as we pass the thing that is expecting inside, that's good. This is one way to define array. Another way to define is you can give a type here array. However, this is not enough because it expects something inside here, and this can be string. And now when you write string here, this is all good. But if you write instead of string, if you give it number, you see we will have a problem because these are not number, these are string. So this is another way to define types. And then we have object types. So object also, we can define something like this. Let's say my object, and then you already have it object, and then inside object you can have name, and then you can have age. So now this already knows that this is object, and with object, unlike array, it also knows exactly how many keys there are. So if you have only name and age, and then you want to add one more later, it will give you a warning saying that this is not possible. And how so? Let's go and let's hover over here, and you see this is the type, and type is already name is string, age is number, and these are the only two things, two keys that object is expecting. So if I go here, and if I go and if I want to read overwrite here, if I just type name, it automatically tells me that name is expected. So let's do something like that, and then you can also do age, and then you can also give something like that. And now you see that our age has a problem, and age is again number. But how to give the definition for this object? Okay, so to give this definition, all we need to do, let's go here, and then let's take it here. So now you can give a type definition. So the type definition can be something like this. So let's go here, and let's select my object, and then again like this. And you can already have this object symbol, and then here you can give name, and then instead of value you can write it string, and then you can have age, you can give number. So now this already knows that these are the type. So this is one way to do, but there is also a better way, because this way every time you wanna have the similar type to different variables, you need to write this all the time. Now let's learn a new way to define types. So new ways, well actually this is the real way. Okay, so we have a few type commands. So one is type, another is interface, and then there is also enum, and so on. So these are what we are going to use. So let's go. So now instead of giving this type definition like this, we can use type. So type, and then you can give the name of that type. So we can say my object type, and you can see I used capital letter. It is practice, you don't need to, but I recommend you to do it so that other people can also understand that you are talking about types. And then you just need to do equals, and then you can just do just like how you would be creating object, and then you can give the name, basically the same as this. So we can actually copy this and then we can have it. So now you have a new type, and that type is derived by using already those types that you know. And let's say if our object also has an array. So let's say we have languages, and then that languages is an array. So you can also give it like this. That is also okay. Or you can also give it array. And then here you can say it's a string. This is also one way to define. So you see, it can go as deep as you want just by using the types that you already know. Those are string, number, array, and so on. Okay. So this way you can already define many types, and now we can go and we can attach types here. So let's say I will have a variable called new object, and that will be having this new object type. Okay. So now you see it already has this new object type. And now if we have to go here and if you have to override this, you can already do dot, and you can see it has all these properties. There's one way, or you can of course do equals sign, and then you can do name. And then if you try to give something here, it will say that this is not assignable because we are expecting this as a string, and you already know this by now. So let's go and let's do something here. Let's go, let's give the number here. And then we also have languages, and languages is not a number. This is not a string. This is an array. So it is an array. And then inside array, if we try to write a number, again, you will get the same warning that we saw earlier. So it is expecting something else. And now this way, your object is pretty nicely done. And even if you do a slight mistake of changing something, it will automatically say that this is not the type. Or even if you do the typo here and write double E, then it will say that this name, this key does not exist in that object. So this is how you can form a new custom types by using already pre-built types and then with the name type. And you can use this type, or even better in real production case, you can even export this and then use this type in many other places. So usually we have a type folder. Inside type folder, we have a lot of this kind of custom types, and then we export it and then we import it throughout the application to have one source of truth for all the types. And then the next one we want to do, we want to use interface. So interface is almost same as this type. So whatever we have done here, we can also do the same thing using interface. So well, let's not export it. We don't need to export it. So instead of type, you can do interface. And then let's just do this is type 1. We are using the same. The only thing you can see, because we have Typescript, we also get this warning. It does not expect equals. You can just write it directly. Okay, so now we have basically the same identical type here. And then let me move this here. So we can use either of those. So let's also remove this export from here. Now we can use either of those. Okay, so we can either use this object type, or we can use this with type 1, that is interface, and then it's the same. So if I go here and if I give number here, I will get a warning just like we got earlier. However, there is a benefit of using interface. So sometime you want to use interface. For example, let's say we want to use everything from this type, but we also want to give a little bit more. Okay, so let's say I want to have everything else that this type has and then add few things on top of that. Okay, that can be case. So let's say we create this type, and then we can write extends, because just like in class, and then we can give this type. So that, and then here we don't need to write this all. We can just write something like, let's say countries, and then countries can be also array of string. Okay, so now you see we have interface, and the benefit of using interface was we can use something like this. We can extend, okay, and we can extend this one, you see. So what it means, or what are the type of this? Okay, so now we have a new object, and let's call this with earlier type. So this is the type for new object, and then let's duplicate this all, and then let's call this, instead of new object, let's call it new object 1 and new object 1. and then this will be our new type 1. Okay, so here we are using this object, so that is this type which expects name, age and language, and we have all those, so we are good. However, this our second object, so new object 1 is using this type, and this type is the same type as this, plus it extends and it adds few more stuffs there. So this expects something else that we are not providing, and it says here property countries is missing. So let's just go here and let's just do countries, and then inside countries we can have USA, and now this is good. You see, so that's the benefit of interface. Now you know type, you know interface, you can do everything you can do inside type, also inside interface, but interface gives us this opportunity. So there are still few more things that I would like to show you. So there is enum, and then there is also optional, so I would like to show you, and then there is also union. Okay, so there are still 3 types that I want to show you. So let's say sometime you have a type, and the type can be, let's say, my new type, and then this is an object. So we have also name, string, and then we have also let's say status. Okay, and this status is something that either is active or it's pending. Okay, so how to do that? We can also give something like this, pending, and then you can use this pipe, and then you can say active. So this way we can only use any of these 2 value and nothing else. So let's say I want to create a new object, my new object, and that object expects the type, my new type. Okay, and now when I go here and then I do this, so here I can give a name, and let's give it my name, and then it also has a status. However, the status should be one of these, and when you give it this quotation, it automatically tells us it should be either active or pending. If you give pending, it's all good. However, if you try to change it to something else, it will give us warning saying that it has to be either pending or active, and something is none of those. So that's why we are getting warning. So this is one way to do optional. Similarly, we can also sometimes have optional types. Let's say this is a new var v, I don't know what it means, or let's say this is age, and we can also get age as a number, but also we can get it as a string, and this is pretty much a use case that actually happens. So let's say here we go and we can give 25, and let me give comma here, and this is all good because this age can be either a string or a number. Okay, or we can also give it 25. And you see, sometime when you are getting value from database or somewhere, even though it's a number, but you can get number as a string. This is actually a case. So you can use union like this. You can use union of types, or you can use union of value, and this is one way. And then let's go and let's do another, and that's enum. Enum is almost identical to this status we are talking about. And then with enum you can say my, okay, let's say status type. Okay, even though it's enum, it's a type. And then you can have an object here. No, it says no, so okay, it's not expecting that. Let's go here, and then we can say pending. We can give a value to pending. Usually it's used capital letter, but you can obviously use just like this, but I will use it like a capital letter. And this is object, so we can give it pending. And then we have another type that is active, and then we give it active, and obviously let's not forget to put comma here. So this is our status type. And now instead of giving status this, we can also give it status type. Okay, and now it says that this active is not good because we cannot write the numerical value there. However, we have to use this status type and then dot and then active. Okay, we are getting warning here because we need to define this before we use it. So now it's all good. Okay, so the last one in the types is optional, and optional means you don't need to necessarily pass it. Let's say if we say the name is optional here, okay, so that means we add the question mark before this colon, and then if I don't give this name here, that's fine. If it was not optional, we would get a warning here that is missing, the name is missing. However, if you keep this optional, then you don't need to worry about whether you have to pass that or not, because as it says, it's optional. So these are the types. And then there is one more thing that I would like to show you, and that is a partial type. So partial is, let's say we have this type, and then I want to create a new type, and that is, let's say new type, and this type, I want to just use a partial of this type. Okay, so for that, I have to type partial, and then I have to give it like this, and then I can give my object type. So this way, now when I create a new object, okay, and then I can give this as new type, and then now I can go inside this new object, and this gives me opportunity that I can use any of these, but it's not mandatory to use all of these. So almost like we were passing something like this optional. So that's what the partial gives. And sometimes you might be using some types from some library, and you don't want to use all of those, because if you use all of those, then your type will start giving you warning that you are missing that, and you are missing that, and you are missing that. So when you give it a partial, then it will not complain that. So you see, even when we don't have anything, it doesn't complain. Okay, so now I can give a name. It's okay, but you can already see when I was writing name, you can see that there is a question mark. That means it's optional. Okay, so I can give a name, and if I write a name, I cannot write something else than what the type is expecting. So either I don't write this key at all, but if I give the key, it has to be string type or whatever the type it is expecting. So I can give the name, and then I can just use this object. So this is a partial. So far, we have done all the basic requirement of TypeScript that you need to know. You don't need to know any more than this. And now we will see the use case of those in our day-to-day React life. So first of all, I'll just go here, and then here I'll write a folder name components, and then the first component, let's do a user card. Okay, so usually typical case when we have to render some card, we have some datas there. So for example here, first I will just have a user card component. So in here I have a p tag, and I would say name, and then we will have a name. Okay, so let's say that will be name, and similarly we will have a couple of steps. So let's just go here. Okay, so we have this component called user card, and we have name, email, city, and country as a variable, which we are going to get from props. Without TypeScript, it was pretty simple. So all we used to do, either we used to get a props here as an argument, and then we would do a destructuring here. Okay, that's one way. Or we would also do directly here. So we would just do here, and we would give name and so on. This should all work also here. However, all the component, they are also function, and we need to define the types of the argument that we are getting. In this case, prop. So you know how to define the types. We can do something like this, and then give it whatever the type. Okay, the easy way to give it is we can already have an object here, and we can just say name, and we can say it will be string, and then we can say email, and that will be string. Similarly, we have city, that will be also a string, and then we have country, and that's also a string. So this is one way to do it. And now here you can see we'll automatically get all the, and this is all good. And now we can use these props in our app.tsx. So let's go here, and let's just do import user card. Okay, so we have user card here, and then let's say we want to have a user card render here. Okay, let's give a user card, and then we want to have our user card. And now you can see we are getting this warning here, and if we hover over here, it says that it expects props, so name, email, city, and country, and these are missing. And that's all we wanted to have it here. So let's go and let's give it a name. And now if we save this, and if we go out here, if we refresh, and we have our user card render, and we are getting all the props as it is expected. So that's all good. There's another way to also define the types, and then we can go here. So instead of doing this approach, you can see we can just copy this. Let's copy it and delete it from here, and then we can do our type definition here. So type, and we can say user card props. Okay, it's even good practice to keep the type and always start it with a capital letter. And then here all we need to do is this. And now instead of that, you already guessed it, we can do something like this, and that's already good because it's basically the same case. However, there is also another way to do it, and that way is the one that I usually do it. So instead of doing something here, okay, let's copy this. Okay, let's do something like this, and then here you can have a 2 dot, just like how you define types, and then we can use something from React. So if we try react.fc, that means functional component, and then we can have a types here. And you see, this is also all good since we are not getting any warning. And if you save it, and if you go here, and if you refresh, or it refreshes automatically, and then we are getting the same thing. So I usually prepare this way, and the reason being, when I have something like this, I don't even do this. So I just copy all of this, okay, and I can completely remove this. So here, if you try to just type name, it will automatically show you. Additionally, you can also use control and shift, control and space. So when you do control and space, you can get other stuff. So you can see it also has city, country, and email. And then I will do the comma, and then I can type control and space, and then I can see country, and then I can do control and space, and I can see this. So this way, now we have all the things here, and we can already destructure, so it's much easier for us. Let's say we want to have age, okay, and then that age is an optional, and it is obviously number. So we have age, we can use it, but it's an optional. It's not mandatory. So now when we save it, everything is working fine, and we are not passing age here, and that works perfectly good. However, we can pass now age, and it automatically shows us that it's optional. You see, it's optional, it's a number, and undefined means because it's optional, so it can be also undefined. So here I can pass 34, and that's all good. Now if we go here, nothing is happening here because we haven't destructured here. So now if I go age, and then I do it something like this, that's all fine. Now if I go here, and I can say age, and then I can give it age, and I go back here, and you can see it's rendered. Now let's see, if I want to go here, and instead of this age 34, I decide to do it 34. You see, we already get warning, and it says that string is not assignable to type number, and that's what we want to use Typescript for. Now you see how much of benefit you will have in long run when you have a component, and you are using this component over multiple different component, different pages. And let's say someday you decide to change something, then you will get all this nice warning, so you can go there and do the necessary change. Even there are automatic way to do it with some extension and also VS Code. And also when you are using this component anywhere for the first time, you will know that, okay, what are the properties I need to pass there, and so on, because it will show you everything you need to know. Now let's go one more thing, and that's function. So how to pass function here? Let's say I have a function here, and this function is handle parents. Okay, so that means we are going to call this function from children, and here all I'm going to do is just console log this function is called from children, and we can even pass some argument here, and let's say that argument will be name, and that name is again we want to pass the types here, so that name is a string, and then let's just pass here. Okay, so that's good. However, we are getting warning here, and we want to solve that by passing it 34. And now we also want this function to be called from the parents, I mean children. Okay, so let's go here, and for that reason let's go here, and then we can just say on click. Okay, or we can give it any name, or we can even say on name change. Okay, and then this can be a function. So function is a type, just like we have a string, number, we have also function type. And additionally, you can also give it optional if you are planning to use it optionally, but in our case we want to use it mandatorily. So let's go and give it like that. And then here you can see we have a function. So now what I can do, I can just have a button here and then just say on parents name change or whatever, it really doesn't matter. Or we can just say change from children, and then here I can attach on click event, okay, and then it can be an arrow function. And now we can call that on name. Additionally, when you have a function, you can also do something like this, and then you can just say void, or does it return something, then you can say it returns a string. So you can also give type there, and you can already even have argument here. So for example, we can have a parameter something like name string, and if we do so, now it says that this function is okay, but it's expecting one argument and it did not actually get that. So let's go here and then let's just give it a name, and this name is basically the same name that we are passing from parents. Now if I save this, we will be getting warning here, and it says that in our user card now there is a change, and it also requires this on name, that's a function, and that is missing. So let's go here and then let's just do Control Shift, and that way you can see everything it requires. We give it on name change, and then we go here, and then here all we can do is just pass handle parents. And now if we save it and if we refresh, we have a button. And let's go to inspect and then to console, and now when we click here, you see this function is called from children, and then we are passing the name because that's the same name from here. Okay, this is all good. However, to demonstrate TypeScript a little bit better even with the form handling, so let's go and let's have an input field here. One input field is okay, and then whatever we will type there, and when we click it, it will actually print that, although we are calling that in a parents function. So you can see that how we can handle also a little bit of form handling using TypeScript. So let's go here. I will have an input field, okay, and that's a type text, and that's all for now. Okay, so now let's go here, and inside our functions somewhere here, okay, it looks a little bit messy because these are all the argument inside here. So now let's go and let's have a state. So, and the state will be, we are using a React use state. So in case of it, we can just give, okay, let's have a color, and then let's just do set color. Okay, this is, and then it's coming from React use state, and initially we can just give a color red. Okay, this way automatically it will know that this color is a type of string. Okay, you see it's a type of string. For now, let's have an initial value red, and that way we get implicit type value. So if you hover, we get a string. And then you already know React use state. If you don't know, go and watch my React 101 video. The reason why I have this color is I would like to have it here. So let's go here, and then I will just say on change. I can also give it a value, and the value is same as color by default. And then I can do on change, color change. So this is a function that we will use. Then here I can just say const, and it will take some parameters, and that's what I'm planning to show you. Usually in our JavaScript version, we will just do E, or we can even give it event or whatever, and then we would do event.target.value. And that's okay. We can do exactly the same. You can see we are getting this warning because it says that if we don't define it any, then it will have this any type. To solve this quickly, we can just give it any, and that's okay, and it should work just like it would work in normal JavaScript. However, we are still not making use of our TypeScript. So if we want to make the use of it, we can give it a string. If you hover here, it automatically says that event string void is not assignable to type change event handler. So it automatically gives us this. We have this event change event HTML. So now let's go here, and then let's just paste this. Well, that's good. It solves problem. It also solves this event.target. However, you can see that we are getting problem because we cannot find this. And the reason behind is we need to give it React dot. And now you can see it's React dot change event HTML input element, and this is all good. And we are also getting event dot target dot value. So in our case, we just use this setter, okay, set color, and then we'll just go here and we'll just pass it. Okay, so that's all good. Now every time we are typing something, it will use the set color function, and then it will set the value of color. And then now when we are clicking, instead of on name change, I can actually modify this and then say on color change, or we can even say get color change. And then obviously if we do that, we have to also go here and then do here. Okay, so we have get color change, and instead of name, let's just pass color. That's all good here. And this is also another benefit of TypeScript, because usually in JavaScript, even if you modify or do something in another file, usually it doesn't show something like this. But here you can totally immediately see this. If you go here in VS Code, you can even see this warning here. You click there, then it will take you there, and it says that this function name does not exist. So we just do something like this, and that's good. And then here we can see this function is called from children, and then we can see color. And it really doesn't matter this name or color because it's just argument name, but let's just write color here. Now if we go here and then if I refresh, there is a red, and now if I try and say it's blue, and if I click it, you see we are getting the color blue. So now you know how you can also handle this kind of form element with TypeScript. All right, so here we are at the end of this video. And I hope today's video was useful for you. I will recommend you from now on to start your React project in TypeScript. Even if you don't know how to do all this, it's okay. Just try to use any for now, and then slowly change any to actual proper type. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you in my next video. Until then, remember to smash the like button, and also remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell icon so that you will be the one notified when I upload new video. With that, keep coding. Bye bye.